And there's a preview of the newly reconstructed Glen Road pedestrian bridge, which connects downtown to the affluent Rosedale neighborhood. Hopefully that will be reopening shortly. And there's an entrance to Sherbourne Station. And this is a small stretch of Glen Road, just to the south of Bloor Street. And hey there, today is Tuesday, May 13th. It is 4:59 p.m. and the temperature is 17 degrees Celsius as it is threatening rain. It was raining a little earlier today. And here I am without my trusty umbrella. It says there's a 20% chance at 5 p.m. That's some very light raindrops. Fall gently upon me. Here is Bloor Street East. Let you get a better look at the bridge on this side of the street. I finished up a live stream at Sherbourne Station when I saw I could see it from where I started this stream, or this video, but this is a much better look at it. And they've added this pedestrian connection. That looks pretty fantastic. As soon as that reopens, you bet your ass I'll be making a video showing it off. But speaking of videos, this one's going to be a trip down what ChatGPT called a street of contrasts, and that is Sherbourne Street. I was on the subway and I asked it, what should I title a video walking down Sherbourne Street? And that's the name it suggested. Maybe I'll actually call this video that. Let's cross while I have the chance. Otherwise, I'm going to get hung up at the light cycle up there. And this is Sherbourne and Bloor coming up. Sherbourne Street North. Oop. That Toyota made a pretty shitty left turn right in front of that Tesla. Hence the honking. Sherbourne Street North ends several blocks north of here in the very affluent and well-to-do Rosedale neighborhood. There's another look at Bloor and Sherbourne. And another entrance to the station that sits on line 2. So we're going to go south, maybe down to King or Front. Kind of regretting not bringing that umbrella now. It's definitely raining a bit more. But Sherbourne Street runs north-south from Rosedale Valley Road in the north down to Queens Quay in the south, right at the shore of Lake Ontario. And it passes through a rather diverse bunch of neighborhoods. There's the Maison Selby. It's an Oliver and Bonacini restaurant that's quite excellent. There's a couple of old historic houses here. I believe it was that one that was moved to make way for the condo in the most expensive residential relocation in Canadian history. This is the James Cooper Mansion, which dates back to 1881. This used to be a very wealthy part of town. That's a lot of these grand old homes. There's one that's going to be incorporated into a 69-story tower. On the left we have St. Jamestown, the densest neighborhood in the entire country. And Sherbourne also cuts through Moss Park. And runs down into the St. Lawrence neighborhood. It's got a few intersections that don't have the best reputation in the city. Sherbourne and Dundas and Queen and Sherbourne, which we'll be passing through. I've probably done a dozen or so recorded videos walking up and down Sherbourne over the past 5 years. And I've passed through it on countless more live streams. And I've never had a single incident. Always felt relatively safe. And it's worth noting, it is home to Toronto's first separated bike lanes. These went in back in 2012. That was a fairly big deal at the time. And believe it or not, they were Rob Ford's doing. That was really more or less his desire to move them off of Jarvis Street and move them over to Sherbourne. There's an ambulance. Our Lady of Lourdes. Just over there. We are on the east side of downtown. There's the 75 Sherbourne bus. And it was named after the hometown of an Englishman who lived in the area. I think his name was Samuel Smith Rideau. He was an early landowner. And he was from a place called Sherbourne in Dorset, England. As we approach Wellesley Street. So to the left of here will lead you into the Cabbagetown neighborhood. This is a major east-west route across downtown. But back in the 1800s, this was one of the most fashionable neighborhoods to live in. There's a lot of old properties like this that are evidence of that. That one is now a funeral home. There's the perhaps inappropriately named Sweet Addictions. It's been there for a while. It's good to see they're doing well, or at least it seemed to be. And I looked up the history of transit on Sherbourne Street, and apparently in 1874, there were horse-drawn streetcars operating along the street. And in 1891, it was incorporated into the Toronto Railway Company's Beltline, a circular streetcar route. That was very short-lived. And in 1947, buses took over. And it's been buses ever since. There's some older four-story walk-ups. And coming up on the right will be the Phoenix nightclub and concert venue. It's an 18,000 square foot venue that's been operating since 1984. It's located on the side of that building there. It was originally scheduled to close due to a development or a redevelopment of the property. You can see the graffiti covering the redevelopment notice. But that has been pushed back. It will live at least another year. I think the owners and operators are looking for a new venue for the Phoenix. And it originally went by the name the Diamond Club. It's hosted prominent acts like Pink Floyd, and the Smashing Pumpkins did an acoustic concert there as part of their Melancholy tour. Edge 102 used to have a night that they would host there. I remember coming in from the suburbs as a teenager and parking in this very lot and going to the Phoenix. as it starts to rain a little bit more. There's a building that's been vacant for quite a while. The windows are boarded up. There were plans at least for a 49-story tower. And we are coming up upon the Allan Gardens. Which is one of the oldest parks in the city of Toronto. I think it goes back to the 1850s. In fact, this entire area, including the Allan Gardens and to the southeast of it, down to Queen and Yonge, is known as the Garden District due to its proximity to the Allan Gardens. As we cross Carlton Street, Maple Leaf Gardens is several blocks off to the west there. And this is the, I guess, formal start of Cabbagetown, just to the east. And I think tomorrow is a big day for the Allan Gardens. The historic Palm House, which has been closed for quite a while, it was off in the distance, is set to reopen tomorrow. There's going to be a big ceremony to honor that. Can't really see it very well through all these trees. I'm sure I'll take a look at that at some point once it's reopened. It's not like there's a protected bike lane or anything on Sherbourne, but sure, just ride on the sidewalk. That's the Palm House through the trees just off in the distance. And during the pandemic, this park was home to a very large encampment erected to the memory of the poet by his admirers, July 21st, 1902, Dr. or D.W. Stevenson, RSA, Edinburgh sculptor. There's the Palm House. Oops. There's some raindrops on my touchscreen here. Looking good. I think tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. there'll be an event. It'll feature a puppet show, stilt performances, face painting, and popsicles. There's what's left of the encampment. There's signs in front of those teepees saying no recording during the fire ceremonies. Seems to be some tunes blasting from over there. And coming up is Gerrard Street. Camera lens seems to be holding up. I don't think I'll have to scrap this video due to rain or repurpose it. If you don't believe me, it's raining. Well, there is someone who saw fit to have an umbrella out. If you've ever seen the show Kenny vs. Spenny, where they filmed that show after season 2 is just up, or after season 1 rather, I think all but season 1 were filmed just up here on the right. That's at 288 Sherbourne Street. You can see a lot of those episodes on the Kenny Hots channel, HOTZ. And there's a YouTube video documenting the rather unique history of this house, which now has a fence in front of it. It was for sale the last time I walked through here. Every time I see those front steps, I hear that unique bass line that would play at the start of an episode of Kenny vs. Spenny. I'm sure the people who live there are used to people slowing down and looking over. The house they used for season 1 was right around the corner from here. It was a lot more modern than that one, but apparently it was a lot smaller and harder to record in. I mentioned there were a couple of notorious intersections on Sherbourne. This is one of them coming up at Sherbourne and Dundas. You could hang her right here and swing past the Fillmore's Hotel, and well, it's more than just a hotel, and make your way over to Dundas Square. That property there has been boarded up. And that house there is for senior, or that house, that apartment building is for seniors, but they added that gate around the front just because there were a lot of people kind of loitering in front of it. They had to get an exception by the city to do that. So let's try to cross here. There's still a group of people hanging out in front of it. I've heard some interesting stories of people who have shopped at that store, Sam's. And there's often people hanging out in front of this church here. It's a bit of a drop-in center. There's someone just chilling in the middle of the street. That used to be a popular Indian and Pakistani restaurant that relocated. And there's a YouTube channel dedicated to this, or that was run from this house. They had a camera mounted outside, and they would post a lot of the crazy things that it would capture. I think those days are over, but there would be people breaking into the property, climbing up and breaking the camera. Just going out for a stroll and a sing. We've all been there trying to carry something really heavy. There were a number of characters just standing on the right there who I don't think would have appreciated me turning the camera towards them, so I just kept looking forward. And this stretch here is perhaps the sketchiest between Shooter and Queen, one that is up for revitalization. They're actually installing a subway station. At the northwest corner of the stop. And this is Moss Park itself to the right. There's some Toronto public housing buildings just over there to the left. Hence the Street of Contrast title, I think, that ChatGTP was suggesting. As Rosedale at the north end of Sherbourne is one of the wealthiest parts of the city. And we're kind of in the opposite. We're just gonna keep marching through here.
What's up?
There's the Moss Park Arena and Community Center. There's a swimming pool in there.
Spare any change.
Sorry.
Spare any change, sir.
If I had change, I would spare it. Ooh, that smell is not good. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Jesus loves you. Want to come join us? No, thanks.
You already took it now.
This is Queen East. he's going for it. I bet the people who work at that Moss Park discount store have some stories to tell. Well, apparently a cashier there was once murdered on the job. And at this place here, in a previous business, they had a patio back and someone was murdered. And on the right here, we have a safe injection site. It was one of the first of its kind in the city. And now the street kind of transitions again into a rather nice St. Lawrence neighborhood. This is Richmond Street, and in the 1800s, just a few blocks south here at Front Street, was near the shoreline of Lake Ontario. Oh, there's a Cybertruck. I'll be in the area again at some point in the near future to check out the new St. Lawrence North Market, which recently reopened. Studio City North. I guess I need to get back up to line 2, and I was just about to say, I guess I could try taking the 75 Sherbourne bus. They seem to be relatively frequent, as opposed to making my way over to Yonge and then taking the subway up. As we get to Adelaide Street, there's the financial district off in the distance. Nice wide protected bike lane. I think this is fairly new, the Black Cherry Espresso Bar. as we make it to King Street East. I'm just seeing when the next bus is. Sherbourne Station, it is. Two and a half kilometers away. Apparently there's a bus coming in about 5 or 6 minutes. And the street does end again just south of here at the lake. There's the CN Tower off in the distance. So it says bus scheduled 5:41 from Sherbourne in front. Well, I bet I could get to the Esplanade before then. It is 5:36. Building's new on the left. Well, that's quite nice. This area has changed a lot since I lived here. If I were to pick a downtown neighborhood to live in, I think the St. Lawrence would be at or very near the top of my list. Should be a stop for the bus just up ahead. Let's try to make this light cycle. The Esplanade is such a great street. Actually, I don't see the bus stop. Maybe I'm missing something here. Yes, I'm missing the bus. It literally went around the corner right there. I overshot the bus stop. Je suis idiot. And it is earlier than Google said it would be. When's the next one? I knew I had my head in the clouds there. Well, it says 5:47 from the Esplanade at Lower Sherbourne. A little bonus footage of the Esplanade. But I hope you enjoyed this one, walking Southbound Sherbourne. I almost timed it just right to catch that bus from Bloor and Young. Down to just south of Front Street. This little common area for this condo. I think I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Put my camera stuff away. Kick myself for missing the bus. But if you wish to support what I do on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I've got an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. So do go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, just go nuts. Or not. Anywho, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Yoink.